Hello everyone, it's Anima. I am reviewing a mid to high silver Soldier 76 VOD here. I know it's off my usual content brand, but surprise, surprise, I actually occasionally do VOD reviews for individuals in specific situations. Like I agreed to do this person's VOD if I hit Masters, and so here I am. And I thought it'd be fun to record some of these to share the knowledge a little bit with you guys. So right off the bat, whenever you are looking at your hero pick and trying to decide how you'll play it in the map, you have to consider first of all what map you're on, so like what key positions you want to be in, and then you also have to consider how your composition will be playing. So right off the bat here, we're on Soldier. So we are gonna probably want to have a little bit of distance and a lot of space to run around and be slippery. So an intuitive option might be to go through here, around here to here. This is pretty good. Like there's really nothing wrong with this rotation. It sets up some good crossfires. And then you can drop to here and go to here and start shooting a bit. Or you can do this underground rotation and then through arch. Or you can go and honestly even just poke from main, but I don't recommend it. So the bottom line though is I wouldn't recommend going up onto these stairs while they are all here because it's going to be hard to get into cover quickly again, even if you have sprint, and you're actually closer to enemies than you want. And also notice the other side of the equation, what heroes our teammates are on. Our teammates they have no vertical mobility. We have a Widow who maybe can hit her shots, but she's silver, so let's assume not. So your Ryan and your Zarya and you are going to be all of the damage for this team. So your Ryan and your Zarya are not going to be getting value until you're probably around here with the cart, or maybe even like here, somewhere around there. And that's when these guys start rotating down to stop the cart. So if you're shooting at them from here, there's not going to be any threat from main. So yeah, it'll take some breathing room for your teammates, but you're probably just going to get roasted. So let's now that I've preempted that a little bit, let's see how you handle it. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Right? Like there's no one else occupying their attention who's really a threat. Even if he hears the like he can hear you running, uh even if he didn't, he could have done that pretty easily. You gotta assume that stuff like that's gonna happen. Nice. Just leave her. Yeah, take the high ground. So here, I don't think you actually want to drop here. Because by dropping here, I think you're looking for a better angle. But if you actually just run through here, you would have had the best angle that you could have wanted, right? All of these targets would have presented themselves really easily. Because by dropping here, you're actually putting yourself under more pressure because all of the enemy attention is directed towards this one spot on the map. Well, if you were up here, you would be actually taking people's attention away from that spot, which helps both your team and it means you're under less pressure too because you're not stacked with them. So try and split away from your team as Soldier here because if from right here, things are going to get really sticky because there's not really, like, you can't rotate up into them here. So your only option actually, which the enemy should be watching, but they're not, is you can actually go into here, right? And then this is a pretty good angle option too. You can kind of run this way and do this full 180. So keep your eyes peeled for these flanks and these routes where you can go around the enemy. I know maybe you're used to playing with your team more because you historically play Symmetra, but if you have mobility, one of the most important things you can do is use it to play away from your team safely and still get out alive. So I think you approached. I mean, like you're hitting the rock. It's fine for the most part and stuff like that. So like no complaints there. I just don't think you're going to be maximizing your damage potential throughout this VOD. Nice, this is good. Though, so a comment though that many soldier players struggle with is your range isn't super consistent up here. So you're probably gonna get picked off if you linger for too long. So it's more like yeah, like a staging and poke point than something where you're gonna get serious impact on until the payload is in later states. Or you could rotate to those windows if you wanted something a little closer. But enemy team's basically letting you push in for free, so it's fine. You didn't actually receive much of the healing there because it has LOS from the middle of I think. So I want to talk to you real quick about ultimates here. I don't know. I don't know if we need advisor here. You already picked off two people. You already used B and Co just now. There's nothing here to visor. So just chill if your team has advantage. Don't use ultimates for cleanup. Use them to change fights. So if the fight is like looking sour, great time to ult. If the fight is looking like you need it at the start and there's no decisive advantage, use that. But never use an ultimate just to clean up fights. Because at that point you just don't even need it. Yeah, I'm cover right now, you gotta yeah, get to some. So something I want to note there is you don't actually have to go that close to them, I don't think. Because for example, right here, yeah, like you see people, that's all the sight line you need. Or if anything, you actually should start running right now. But you still, for like a brief second, go closer, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But that's a hard reaction thing, so. Instead of running out this way, towards where all of the enemy team's damage is, as soon as you got Zarya bubbled, you should have just headed out this way. This is a much shorter distance. And yeah, you'll have to run all the way around to regroup with your team, but that's what you get for feeding. Because look at this. Is your team able to follow up on anything that you're doing over here? Probably not, unless you're just setting up a crossfire from this window and like standing here, because then you all have range onto here. But as it is, you're just frontlining, and that you're not a tank. You're not a tank. You're not able to frontline. Not even tanks, honestly, should be frontlining in the traditional sense. So they should be by cover. At this point, just get out. Your teammates are all dead. So you're just sitting here shooting shields and shooting into a bastion when this high ground that normally people are just like absolutely fighting and like strangling each other for in high ranks is completely free to you because their diva is very clearly feeding because like as in she's not playing well and would probably die if she went after you. If you went up here, oh man, all of these supports and this Orisa, all of that is super free and you're not dying to the Bastion. You can let your team deal with that, and you get free reign over the high ground. You even had Visor. If you used Visor on this, their supports are going to be in trouble. But because you're just down here with your team, You're stuck here eating spam damage from the Bastion and the Orisa and the Moira, and you're just sitting here shooting shields. So look for some angles. And it's not as if you always need to be on an angle, but you need to know when you should be on an angle, and that's when basically you want to actually make something happen in a fight. You should be on an angle. Especially because Soldier is really slippery, so he doesn't have to be that worried about if you use Visor. Your team's all dead. You're not going to be doing anything creative here by getting in. At higher ranks, people would absolutely check this, as in because people just sit up here and then they also check the stairs and stuff. So you could just pop Visor there to finish him off, honestly, because that'd be a good start fight thing. Nice shatter from your Ryan. Not the worst Visor. But like, know how much easier that fight was so far just off of starting it from that angle? Why, you can just shoot. Yeah, well, okay. So let's talk about that here. If you look at how things kind of collapsed here, I think you're playing, like, your team kind of just gives up on this angle because you're scared of the Bastion, I guess. But that's why you would, like, leave someone up here often, is because, yeah, this Cass is, like, sure, he's kind of cool, but once again, now the enemy team can all just hide behind one shield and they're all safe. So what you could do potentially, I mean, ideally your team would have like kind of occupied this a little bit, keep this respawns from coming back in, but it is what it is. I would just get out at this point because your team has taken enough heat. And you're probably not going to be able to destroy the supercharger if they're all standing on top of it.
I don't quit till the fight's done. Why are we stopped? Get the lead out and move this payload.
That's tragic that your Zarya dies there. You guys managed to trade at least, but yeah, just stand here, take it. Health pack, health pack, health pack, health pack. You could have just used your heal pack. You wouldn't have been forced off that position. Now you're in the trenches again. This is a pretty good angle too. Normally though, you cannot just walk in. You're gonna have to just poke from the doorway because see, as soon as they turn back on you, you're dead, and you're just lucky that they didn't turn back on you before. But so you want to like go for the targets that present themselves. Like here, this Bastion was pretty safe. Like you probably should not have been able to go for him. But what you could have done is from right here, you could just hammer at their front line for free because you're not under any pressure from their DPS. And that's pretty good value too. So, and you wouldn't have had to trade your life for it. And if you get away with something like this, you just gotta hustle out because you don't want to be in the middle of the enemy team.
I don't quit till the fight's done. My ultimate is ready.
So I want you to notice you used your health your healing pad there, that is in fact a 12-second cooldown, so it can be pretty costly if you just use it willy-nilly and don't pay attention to how you're using it when you're taking damage, etc. So during the pre-fight, when your team isn't actually doing anything, yeah, you're probably going to be able to get your heal pack back by the time that the fight starts, but you're also just taking unnecessary damage for the most part. Yeah, you're taking so much heat just because you're trying to force it down mid. Comparatively, let's look if we had gone on the high ground. So Bastion got forced out. Junkrat was up here. So obviously we couldn't rotate up here right away. So we'd be like chilling over here, poking, poking, poking. We see the Junkrat, we rotate, use visor from up here. Oh, there's the Moira dead. Oh, there's the Bastion dead. Oh, there's the Risa dead. And you're not sitting here shooting into triple shields and a coalescence. And then the bomb would be tricky, but you could probably just drop and dodge it. So I can't guarantee it would have gone better, but the reason that these rotations didn't work earlier is because your team was rotating with you, so it wasn't really an off angle anymore. And if your whole team rotates on an off angle, it can be a little more tricky to figure out how to set up one of your own because you have to find like some spot along the rotation to stop and use it as your angle. But anyways, I digress. Overall though, it wasn't terrible. Number one thing you could do in silver on any hero to improve is literally just play more. Like you said that you like got to like from like 1200 to 1800 playing Sim and stuff. And like Sim is pretty weak. I mean, she's hard for lower ranked players to handle, but in terms of her like flexibility as a hero, she's very weak. So if you just put in more hours, like more and more hours on Soldier and like wrote something down after every game that like went well or didn't go well, you would probably reach like 2300 at least pretty fast.
Try not to get yourselves killed out there.
Especially because you're not even like you're not that bad with your mechanics with the rockets and the primary fire. So yeah, you hear her on the high ground. There's no reason to drop. Yep, good choice. Your Ryan is a sicko. Nice. So you're going close here, but it makes me wonder, could you have just run over to here instead and then gone down to here? Because now you're stacked with your team again, which once again puts you under more threat. Compared to if you were here, you have more access to all of your favorite rotations, your favorite high grounds, etc. So just some food for thought. Look to use these side spaces in the map way more. And if you're not familiar with these areas of the map, then explore the map and like find these side areas because basically every map will have these side zones and like you wouldn't have gotten slammed by Reinhardt if you didn't literally go down main, run it down mid, and go into their faces to brawl. Soldier is not a hero who likes to do that. He's very squishy in close range. You have to play using his mobility to access longer side angles where he can shoot from mid to long range distance without being threatened because he can just skedaddle by the time that anyone decides to approach him. So, so yeah, you like use this this network of high grounds here, here to down to here. That's like your best friend. Nice. Okay, so let's talk about that here. Don't take a fight that you can't win. Like, so first of all, you probably don't want to be like slamming into a diva who's face first at you. You can get like obviously poker and maybe dueler, but you'll probably want to actually like maybe even run away after just doing like half her health. Like she, no matter what, she's going to be pretty crippled in terms of her ability to do damage to you because you're going to at least take off half her health, and you can run away very quickly and stuff. So you will probably be fine. But this, why are you going closer? Do you care about killing the baby diva? And the answer for you should be no, because she's not really a threat to your team, and she's annoying to kill because she's a tiny target. And to get closer to here, you're putting yourself in exposure to this Ana, to this Cassidy, to this Bastion, this whole squad. So either you stop where you are right now and you try to shoot her instead of going all the way out. Because, for example, all of this you could have done from right here. But because you're doing it 2 steps forwards, that's what lets this the Bastion, wherever he is, finish you off. And the other thing is you don't have your health pack. So this actually doesn't favor you that much as a duel. You should probably just head out. There's like you don't need to kill her. You just need to force her out and prevent her from getting value for a period of time, which is what you did. It's essentially the same as if she died. So just chill. Don't take stupid duels with that are exposed to a bunch of angles and stuff.
Step right up. I don't quit till the fight's done.
There's no, I mean, sure. I don't recommend dueling with a Bastion at long range. The poke damage isn't that meaningful to him. Like this? What are you doing? Like you just wasted that whole visor shooting at a Bastion who is obviously gonna outdamage you in visor. And he's a stationary target. So you're like not even like taking advantage of the visor. So what I would recommend here is so first of all, was it a good visor timing? Well, we look at it and not really, because where do we have an angle? There isn't one. We're all stacked together. So that means that if the enemy team wanted, they could literally all just run away this way, and your ultimate is useless. Yeah, I mean, you would have warded away their rally, I guess, zoned it out if that's your goal. But as it is, these guys can literally just sit here staring at you, and there's nothing that you or your team can do. So what you would need to do is you need to actually let them in a little further, and then from like here or something, you would pop visor, because then suddenly you're beside them. Or you would take a more aggressive angle. So for example, if you went down to here and popped visor, so there's a lot of options, but the reason that this visor you felt like you had no space is because you chose it to be that way. You stacked with your team, and even though you aren't literally with your team because you're on a high ground, the bottom line though is that everybody's attention is still just face to face. So you didn't actually have any like vulnerabilities from the enemy team here. They didn't actually have any pressure from this, and it was too early in the fight for where you guys were positioned anyways. Once again, this poke damage, I mean, yes, it probably favors you, but your team can't follow up on it. And you have 36 seconds left. You're pretty close to another visor, so maybe you're thinking that you wanted to get another visor. But you have to be careful with early poke damage, because these guys have a Roadhog now. And do not underestimate players, because eventually they will catch you. The Roadhog will hook you off the high ground. The Ana will sleep you. The Bastion will hit the headshots combo or something. So you have to be very careful not to be just assuming that people won't hit this early poke. Yeah, just run. What are you doing? You take the one Bastion rocket and you decide you want more? Dude, you're at 62 health. First of all, this is what I was talking about with the early poke and the health pack. You use your health pack here, 15 seconds of cooldown now that you have to wait for, and the fight just started. So now when you actually need it, you don't have it. So this is what the cost of that early poke damage is. You got what, like 10% of your ult more maybe at the cost of your life? That's rough, man. So compare and like this high ground, obviously it's not safe because there's still a nanoed bastion ulting. So what might be a better idea is to literally just wait behind cover for a couple seconds, or you could rotate around to this way because at least it's not stacked with any of your teammates. So like just chill for a second, right? Because you have 80% to your ult. The enemy team has this one fight. This is their last fight. You just have to win this fight. Your focus should be on survival. Live through the enemy's Deadeye, Nano, Bastional, etc. Live through their power spike, and then hit back with your own. So an example might have been if you hadn't been going for this early poke here, you could have just sat here. AFK, I literally mean AFK, as in not even touching your keyboard. You could have just sat here, listening. And as soon as the enemy team pushes the cart to here, you could have peeked out and you could have gone for some big plays here. Because now this Bastion, oh, he's looking at your team. Well, guess who's here? You could pick off Bat. You could shoot the ulting Cassidy pretty easily with your mechanics and rocket and kill him. You could shoot the Ana, take her attention away from her hog, and their Bastion then would be feeding because he's taking like a 1v5. If you had the patience to wait on these angles and set up this trap so that you could be on an angle, you would be in a much happier spot.
The war goes on.
So now how do you want to purchase? I am hoping that, I mean, so the bottom line is, yeah, you can't approach now, I guess, because your team is dead. But if you get a chance, it's gonna have to be rotating through here probably, or going through here. Because you're not going to get anything out of Visor from with your team, not against this enemy comp. They're going to have too much pressure on you, and you're not going to be able to get any traction. Nice. You you are playing with fire there, man. Just place down the heal field and like all this. Why are you brawling on point? Like you could just do the same thing from standing far away. So like right here, you're taking shots. Okay, you're taking hits. You're running past the Cassidy, first of all. Um, let's see, where are you here? So let's watch this back here. Get him. Why are you why are you dropping? Just sit here for a second. Find your priority target. You're like the soldier or the Cassidy or whatever. Collect your bearings. This is fine, but then you need to notice this Cassidy here. And another thing is you could easily rotate and use this cover, and you would be much safer. And that's a very important thing. We like safety. But even beyond that, you do eventually kill him, but that's only because of the Zarya bubble. Why are you? Yeah, okay, so you placed on your heal field, but like, why are you going back in? What can you do from right here that you cannot do from right here in the heal field that you just placed down? Hmm? The kills you got are fresh. You don't have to worry about the respawns yet. This hog is a massive target. I know you can hit him with your mechanics. Just pummel him from over here. Make him turn around. Why would you run back in on low health to the cart? You have teammates recontesting it. You can see that. You have your Zarya on cart. You have your Ana near the cart. You don't need to be on that. You need to be carrying the fight from the off angle here. So yeah, now you're 50 HP and you're still going closer to the fight. And then that's why you get hit by an anti that's just aimed generically at the cart. And your team literally loses that fight, possibly because you didn't get more value out of that angle play and went just back onto the cart. Because you probably could have gotten at least 2 or 3 more kills out of that. You gotta find a way to get onto this high ground network. You just look lost now, man. Yeah, dude, this is what I'm saying. Do not stack with your front line. Do not. Never. Just don't. Eventually, you'll learn when you can. But until you do, which is, I would assume like in like plat or diamond, maybe you can start to figure out when you should be with your front line. But for the most part, you should never be on your front line. You should always be like here, you should be here, you should be here, you should be here, you should be here. You could even run around and be over here. I don't care where, just not with your front line. Okay? Capiche? Because look at these opportunities that you're missing because you're just sitting here getting shot and hooked and like thrown around. It's actually ridiculous. And like what I was saying here is you just look lost. Like what is your goal? Your goal, I will tell you, should be to look to put yourself on a safe angle where you can get damage done. So like an option here might have been to rotate to here to get some distance. Oh, look who it is. It's the diva, it's the Ana, it's everyone. And look, you have cover. Enemy team has to turn around if they want to deal with you. You have a kite back through here again. And you have a kite back through here into their spawn if you want like spawn camp someone or whatever. Or even like rotate around to here if you need. You have 1,000 options if you had just gone to here and went behind them. Or if you had just been on the high ground from the beginning. Instead of looking for poke here, you could have prioritized rotating up and then looking for poke from here or rotating up to here. But like you're literally choking on your team. And like why are you and you just stand here shooting when you're eating all of the damage that's aimed at your Reinhardt normally. His shield is breaking. You can see that. His shield is not a permanent fixture. You need your own cover and you need your own angle so that you're not just getting pummeled by all this damage. I don't care if the hog missed his hook, if he hooks the Reinhardt instead, any of that, no matter what in this situation, it's pretty catastrophic for you. So yeah, more game plan, more decisiveness, get to a position that you want to be for the fight. Don't just meander around aimlessly. So this time you want one of those 2 high grounds. I think you want the one on the right, personally, because that's the one that is behind the enemy. While Soldier isn't like a hard flanker, he does do it pretty well. Don't linger. Get to a high ground. Get to a high ground. Get to a high ground. You are just like you're a glutton for your team resources here. You did nothing that fight. Kill feed, kill feed, kill feed. Look at this. You receive a beat to tank the Diva bomb that would have killed you normally. You took the nano boost to survive whatever the soldier duel was and like the enemy team feeding into you. You had to use visor to shoot targets who had no cover. Let's look at what could have happened if you had just gone up here from the start. Well, you're not dealing with this soldier. Oh, free farming the hog, free farming the hog, free farming the roadhog. Hit a rocket on their back line, you rotate over to here. Oh, free visor. We kill their soldier, that same soldier who we killed from the low ground. We destroy this Baptiste. We destroy this soldier. We're safe from the Diva bomb. Pummel the hog. Kill all these guys. You would have done the same thing, except you wouldn't have had to use beat and nano. And I know you didn't have control over that. Like for example, your uh, Ana and Lucio might have just used those anyways because your team was poorly positioned. But you shouldn't rely on your team having to excess resources to spend to bail you out of your own sucky positioning. They can spend that to bail themselves out, but you should not be part of that. Same case if you had gone up here, by the way. You would have been able to run over to here, shoot their back line, maybe even drop, and you would have been a thorn in their side the whole fight without being under any threat, needing to receive all those resources from your team, etc. And this may seem like nitpicking, but it makes such a huge difference. Don't go back in. Don't go back in. Just run. Just run. Just run. Literally just run. If you see enemies stacked together, just run. Like you do not want to mess with that. This is pretty good. Why are you going close again? I mean, maybe you want to contest card, I guess. So I mean that wasn't terrible, but like you're just not setting yourself up for success here on these high grounds. So let's see if I can get like a super quick match because maybe we can get in quickly. But like so much of your plays here just like you're not getting the space that you need, and it's directly because you're not putting yourselves in positions to succeed. So while we didn't get to defend third point, let's talk about it. So ideally, so the enemy team is coming through here. Where do we want to set up? Well, if we're shooting here, we're going to be taking heat this entire game, right? Okay. So let's not do that, right? We don't want to be under pressure. So another option might be to play here. This way, when the cart comes around and our team is over here, we're on an off angle. It's like where the Bastion was positioned. And yeah, the enemy team can pretty quickly look from here to here, but it's still like something. More importantly, it gives us easy access to the high ground. Another thing is we can start on the high ground. While a lot of teams will go and clear it off, you can get a lot of early poke damage, and if they don't, they basically lose the fight if they don't clear you out. Another option is down here. Well, it's a much closer range angle than Soldier wants. If the cart is like around here and your team is holding here, it can be pretty good because then you also have this rotation option to go deeper here. So you want to look for angles that have these different options for rotations and yeah, and for keeping things dangerous for the opponents. And like as Zephyr said, so Zephyr being another person who reviewed this on Overwatch University for anyone on my YouTube who um, is unfamiliar. Uh, they they pointed out that your downtime and lack of pressure because of these strange flanks that aren't that good and like these not very good angles, uh, they turn things into a 5v6 for the team pretty often, where you're just forced out early and not really having that much presence. And he recommends that you look at map guides to improve your understanding of what angles you should contest or hold as a DPS. I think this is a fairly Uh, good criticism piece. Another person also pointed out that you don't want to run at the targets that you're shooting. This is very true. Maintain a nice distance because distance is what buys you time to run away if something goes wrong. Distance equals time in Overwatch. So the more range you have, and if someone's like turns at you and starts to chase you or something, they're gonna have a very hard time getting to you. So yes, distance is safety for the most part. They say play with your team a bit more and try to go on smaller off angles and flanks because um, saying that takes you so long to get there. I would amend that and say you should absolutely not be trying to play with your team a bit more, but you should be on small off angles and flanks or big off angles and flanks, but set them up earlier in the fight. So you should be looking to be in position for these things and patiently waiting before fights in ways where you won't get forced out, rather than um, rather than just trying to do the mid fight. Because the more that you do the mid fight, the more issues you're gonna have with actually with being at places on time and like having balanced fights. So when this queues in, it's just gonna be quick play. Hopefully I'll be able to at least show a couple of the concepts that we've been talking about. Just warming up a little here so I'm not a complete tragic mess. Ilios. Where's Soldier? Here we go. So we're on well. If you think about well, you really don't like Ilios and Koth maps don't have a ton of different angle options, but we'll probably be trying to roll out away from wherever our tanks are. So this might be either, I think I can rocket jump onto the the tower there with the windmill, or I could go around coast, or I mean not coast, around cage or trellis or whatever people call it these days, and then take a flank off angle there. So it depends on what we have, because if we have more ranged tanks, they will probably be playing over here, and I'll probably get more out of the further angle. Okay, yeah, so I'll be going left here actually, because the monkey will probably just dive straight across our squad. Yeah, and our Doom probably wants that high ground anyways. So they have a fire. I'm not gonna bother trying to shoot her yet. I'm just gonna rotate in. Okay, she's forced out. I'm just gonna grab the health pack because I don't want to burn my. Yeah, so like I don't have to do that much here because I mean we're kind of just piecing out. So this is what I was talking about, where you just want distance. I'll set up the. No, okay, so yeah, I definitely can't make that rocket jump. So, and teams over here. They don't have the Sombra anymore. See, enemy team is gonna have to shoot at me. I'm very hard to force out here. Because if they do, they're turning their back on my team. Where is this Reaper? Ah, that was bad of me. I should have just gone and grabbed Mega. I didn't think he would linger over there that whole time, but I should have really thought about that. They didn't really have anywhere better to go. So, I thought I could use visor for the duel, because my aim isn't honestly that good, but I should have just chilled. So my team isn't actually here, so I'm just gonna chill. I don't want to get poked out early. And something that I can do that will give me a little more safety is I can actually rotate through here. Okay, so now I need to aggressively up my angle. Okay, but now I'm gonna get poked early. This time I'll just chill and heal. No, okay. I forgot that the Reaper had the respawn. So this is the tricky thing, obviously, about the more narrow maps, is I don't actually have much side width. So like normally I would not be playing Soldier on Ilios probably. Because if I want like actual distance from enemies, I usually have to go deep into their backline or something. And that's obviously pretty troublesome for for me. So this side I have a little more distance to work with. Nice boot. But yeah, so now on this side I have a little more breathing room because the enemy team just wasn't watching this side as much. I was probably on the wrong side of the map for this against this specific matchup. So I think I'm just gonna. Can I? Aha, okay. So maybe I don't know if I can. Can I get up here? I no. Okay. I'm just burning time being a. But yeah, I know I'm looking like I'm fooling around. I'm just waiting here because this is the angle that I want for visor. Nice. I was waiting to watch which direction he was going because I could see it a little bit with like you'll see, like I'm not really that much better than you, or maybe better than you at all mechanically, but I am dying much less probably, even though I'm against a dive composition where they have a lot more chase against me. I mean, the enemy team, first of all, they're not very good, but so they're not actually putting that much pressure on me besides the Reaper. But so this is another map where realistically I don't actually have that much. Like it's a super narrow map. I don't have like any wide side angles, so unfortunately it's not great for showing you Soldier. But I'll show you how angles like a little closer to your team, but still apart from them, can be healthy. So I'll probably try and play a little away from my Sig. I think he's probably going to go right side. No, he's going left. So let me take this side then. Yeah, sorry, note that our Sig is on the greedy off angle here, so I don't actually have to be the one getting greedy. Because you only need like one person on the enemy team doing that at once. Now this is one that I might be able to actually show you guys. I'll have to see if the Reaper goes up here or the Genji, but or I mean Lucio, but I'm feeding. I wish I could demonstrate this a little better here, but you don't have to watch this part of the VOD anyways.
This old dog's learned a few tricks.
Let's see, we have yeah, just leave that. Lucio's otherwise occupied, he can't boot me. Very cool.
I'm just getting started.
Okay, so this time I'm not going to be quite so greedy because dropping behind them did not work as well as I'd hoped. I'm learning my lesson. So note that I'm over here because our Sig is over there and he's like our main other damage source. And like note that I'm like I've basically been under like zero pressure this whole game. No. But now we're only one fight away, so I'm happy.
I don't quit till the fight's done.
But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest learning point here though is like note that I haven't been in any of those situations where I'm literally just like suffocating on all the pressure that's aimed at my team. I should have reacted to that faster. But it's fine because that spot has enough kite back options that I was chilling. I'll probably just play from over here. No, I need the longer angle here. Nice boop from our Lucio. Very cool. But yeah, like so that was a 10-minute game with 4 deaths or whatever, which isn't crazy. But it kind of shows that if you are careful about how you play around your team and use the sides of the map, you can be under a lot less pressure. Because even if the enemy team turns on you, it's only like a couple people usually, and it means that your team is usually more free to do stuff anyways. So, but yeah, hopefully that gave you a couple thoughts on maybe how to approach playing Soldier differently.